Hi everyone and welcome to our chapter 4 of our subject training and development, and we will talk about the learning theories, program, and design. So for today's learning outcome, you're going to learn or to discuss rather the 5 types of learner outcomes, and also you can able to explain the implications of learning theory for instructional design and incorporate adult learning theory into the design of a training program. So for our introduction, regardless of the training method, certain conditions must be present for learning to occur. No? So I remember class no in Georgia Pacific, no? Actually, Georgia Pacific is a company in US which is a paper manufacturer. So they actually have this 1,800 hourly training program, no? Pero based on their study, it was ineffective kasi the test revealed that many employees had difficulty in reading and writing. Okay, so if that is the case, no, then they cannot able to understand the material used in training, and there is a reduced learning and poor job performance. So ano-ano pa ba yung mga other conditions, no, na dapat nating i-include? Number one is providing opportunities for trainees to practice and receive feedback. Kasi kung hindi nila mapapractice yung natutunan nila at walang feedback from their immediate superior, then they are not, no, they will not be aware if nag-improve ba sila or mali yung ginagawa nila, no, na galing from the training. Of course, you have to also include, no, in the training method, the meaningful training content. So dapat is from the keyword meaningful, it should be associated with their job, and it should be related on the results that they need to provide. Kung cashier yan, syempre, it is related to cash management, it is related to customer service. So these are just some example. Third one is identifying prerequisite that trainees need to successfully complete the program. So just like in college, no, may mga prerequisite tayo na before you take financial management, you should have at least background in accounting. So ganun din when you're going to have a certain training, ay dapat may prerequisite yan. Let's say if you're going to study advanced Excel formulas, then the trainee should have already basic skills or underwent basics training on using Excel. And number four, allow trainees to learn through observation and experience. So we all know that observation, you can, you can see that through your peers, through your superiors. On the other hand, experience is the things, no, that you have learned while doing the job. So that's why, when you're continually applying the job or the work, no, definitely you gain more experience and your skills tend to go up. So what is learning and what is learn? So when we talk about learning, it is a relatively permanent change in human capabilities, okay? And that is not a result of growth processes. So to cut the story short, once you gain learning, nagkakaroon ng pagbabago dun sa capability mo. Let's say in terms of your communication skills. If before you are shy, you cannot able to talk with your customers, with your peers, and even your superiors, But since there is a change, no, that happened because you learned, then that's where learning occurs, okay? And that is not just a result of growth processes, okay? So it means that there is really a permanent change in your capability as a whole. So verbal information, it includes names or labels, facts, and bodies of knowledge. So verbal information includes specialized knowledge that employees need in their job. Um, let's say for example, no, a manager in the verbal information, no, let's say a manager, no, must know the names of the different types of equipment as well as the body of knowledge related to total quality management. So especially when you are into production, if you're the manager, you should be familiar with the different machines, equipment that you need to use. Even though, let's say, you're not a technical guy, but still you should know how to do some basic troubleshooting. So that's an example of that. When you say the word intellectual skills, it includes concepts and rules. These concepts and rules are critical to solve problems, serve customers, and create products. So let's say in the intellectual skills, for example, um, a manager, no, should know the steps in the performance appraisal process. Okay, that manager should know how to gather data, how to summarize data, how to prepare appraisal interview with the employee in order to conduct an employee appraisal. Okay, that is part of the intellectual skills because if he doesn't have that kind of skill, then possible when conducting an employee appraisal, there might be some objections or there might be some conflict that may arise between the manager and his subordinate. Next one is motor skills. It includes coordination of physical movement. So for example, let's say you are a telephone repair person and you must have that coordination skills and dexterity skills as well to climb ladders and telephone poles. Because if you don't have that kind of skill, possible that you may not finish your job immediately or on time, and possible that you may experience accidents when climbing ladders. The next one is attitudes, no? So these are combination of beliefs and feelings that predispose a person to behave rather a certain way. So attitudes include cognitive component, beliefs, and an affective component which is the feeling. And an intentional component is the way a person intends to behave in regard to the subject of the attitude. So when we talk about, no, just to emphasize, when we talk about attitude, um, some of the important work-related attitudes is related to, of course, job satisfaction, commitment to the organization, and even job involvement. So in order for an employee to have to be a productive and good employee, then he should have that kind of attitude toward job satisfaction, commitment to the organization, and job involvement. On the cognitive, no, on the cognitive, um, let's say you're a physicist or doctor, and um, you have that kind of, or even not you're a doctor, even let's say you're a normal person, you have that way of recalling some important knowledge like what are the different colors in the rainbow, of course. it was taught to us by our teacher, which is Roy G. Biv, which stands for red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. So that's an example of how you use your cognitive component. Your feeling, of course, your affective component, it depending on the situation. Let's say um, you see that an employee is not productive, but of course you need to also consider that possible that that employee is experiencing personal problems. So you have to talk with them, to them, in a nice way first, then try to remind them that they have to separate personal problem from work. So again, that is uh, affective or the feeling. So cognitive strategies regulate the processes of learning. They relate to the learner's decision regarding what information to attend, pay attention to, and how to remember and solve the problem. So just like what I said a while ago, the Roy G. Biv, it is part of the cognitive. So we will just proceed with the next part, which is the learning theories. So first is the reinforcement theory. So it emphasizes that people are motivated to perform or avoid certain behaviors because of the past outcomes that have resulted from those behaviors. There are several processes in reinforcement theory. The first one is the positive reinforcement. So it is a pleasurable outcome resulting from a behavior, while the negative reinforcement is the removal of an unpleasant outcome. Let's say in the reinforcement theory, you consider a machine that makes screeching and grinding noises, okay? Unless the operator holds lever in certain position. So the operator will learn to hold the levers in that position to avoid that noises. So that is an example of reinforcement theory. 'Di ba? Yung parang sinabi ko na kunyari no yung machine pag ino-operate mo yung lever at hindi nakaposition yung lever doon sa ganitong let's say side ay nag-i-screech no or nagkakaroon ng grinding noises. So pero pag ilalagay mo dun sa isang side yung lever ay hindi na tumutunog. So that is an example of reinforcement theory na dahil alam mo na tumutunog yung machine pag dito linalagay sa side na to yung lever, then you're not going to repeat it. You're going to avoid that. So the next is the process of withdrawing positive or negative reinforcers to eliminate behavior is known as extinction. Okay? So punishment is presenting an unpleasant outcome after a behavior leading to a decrease in that behavior. So, for example, no, of punishment, um, if a manager yells at employees when they are late, then they may avoid the yelling by being on time, but they may also call in sick or quit or trick the boss into not noticing when they arrive late. Okay? So, of course, that is the normal behavior when you know that your boss will get angry. So, possible you're trying to avoid late, or if you're late, you're going to, you know, try to trick your boss na hindi nila makikita, yung mga ganun. So, again, that is one way, no? Or when an employee, you know, is experiencing punishment. Then also we have the behavior modification, which is a training method that is primarily based on reinforcement theory. So let's say, for example, you have this training program in a bakery. Okay? And you focus on eliminating unsafe behaviors such as climbing over the conveyor belts, no? Yung conveyor belt is actually used to transport products. So rather than walking around, no, you try to stick hands into the equipment to dislodge jump materials without turning off the equipment. So to cut the story short, in the bakery setting, yun nga, no, we try to uh, impose a new behavior of not doing something, no, to avoid accident, and also in terms of let's say, no, there are jam materials in the equipment, so you train your employees to turn off first the equipment before getting the jam materials. Kasi there are some cases, no, maybe on the past na nagkakaroon ng accident kasi nga parang kinukuha yung jam materials dun sa running equipment, so nagtitend na accident, no? So that is example of behavior modification. So these are schedules of reinforcement. So we have the fixed ratio schedule, we have the continuous reinforcement, variable ratio. So that is in terms of the ratio schedule. On the other hand, we have the interval schedules, which is the fixed interval schedule, and the variable interval schedule. So pag sinabing fixed ratio schedule, ito yung reinforcement whenever target behavior has taken place a given number of times, and reinforcement after each. Ito yung fixed ratio schedule na kumbaga yung reinforcement uh, binibigay uh, in a number of times, no? Kaya nga siya fixed ratio. Pero pag continuous, reinforcement after each occurrence. Kumbaga, pag may ginawa or may nakita yung boss mo, ay ginagawa siyang reinforcement. Yun nga, pwedeng pinapagalitan, no? That is continuous. Pag variable, no? Kung ito, si fix, laging rene-remind, yung variable is reinforcement after several occurrences, no, of target behavior. Number of occurrences before reinforcement may differ each time. Kumbaga, it varies, no? So, ano yung maging effectiveness niyan? Pag fixed ratio ang ginamit natin reinforcement, continuous at variable. So, pag fixed ratio, sabi na may rapid learning, may frequent instances of target behavior, and rapid extinction. Okay? Madaling matuto, madaling rin mawala yung mga bad habits nila. Pag continuous reinforcement, no, same direction of behavior as fixed ratio but more extreme. Okay? Kasi ito, pag may nangyayari, is talagang nare-remind, no? Kaya ano, ito kasi parang kahit wala naman nangyayari, is continuous pa rin ginagawa. Pag variable naman, target behavior is less susceptible to extinction than the fixed ratio. Kasi nga, pag lagi mo kasing rene-remind, minsan, ay, lagi ko na lang naririnig yun. So, minsan, naaasar na sila. So, ginagawa nila yung, let's say, bad habits, ganun. Pero, minsan, mas maganda pa nga yung variable na paminsan sinisita mo, paminsan hindi. So, ayun. In terms of interval schedule, we have the fixed interval, which is reinforcements at a given interval time after performance of target behavior. While the variable, reinforcement occurring periodically after performance of target behavior, time intervals may differ each time. So, ratio kasi has something to do with the percent, no? While the interval has something to do with the frequency. So, dito, parang dito lang din, no, na ito, fixed. Sabihin nun, regularly ginagawa. Okay? Frequent ginagawa. Pero sa variable is, it varies. So, ano yung effectiveness ng fixed interval? Lower performance of target behavior than with ratio schedule. Lower effectiveness if time interval is long. Okay? So, kumbaga, sabi dito, lower daw yung performance of target behavior with ratio schedule. Okay? Lower effectiveness if time interval is long. Tapos, sa target behavior naman sa variable interval, target behavior less susceptible to extinction than with the fixed interval, no? Lower performance of target behavior than with ratio schedule. So, kumbaga, yung sa variable interval, yung target behavior daw doon is less susceptible to extinction. Isabihin nun, kung may tinatarget kang baguhin doon sa behavior ng empleyado, is possible hindi mawala agad. Okay? Than the fixed interval schedules daw. So now let's proceed with the social learning theory. So social learning theory emphasizes that people learn by observing other persons' models, whom they believe are credible and knowledgeable. So dito daw sa social learning, no, is ginagaya or yun nga, no, ino-observe ng ibang tao yung mga tao na sa tingin nila ay credible at knowledgeable. Okay? So, social learning theory also recognizes that behavior that is reinforced or rewarded tends to be repeated. So, kumbaga, pag, yun nga, nare-rewardan ka daw, nare-reinforce, ay nauulit daw yung behavior. The model's behavior or skill that is rewarded is adopted by the observer. According to social learning theory, learning new skills or behavior comes from the following. The first one is directly experiencing the consequences of using that behavior or skill, or the process of observing others and seeing the consequences of their behavior. Next is self-efficacy, which is a person's judgment about whether he or she can successfully learn the knowledge and skills. So, all of us, no, class, it has this what we call self-efficacy. So, technically, no, based on uh, maybe your assumptions or maybe based on your past experience, then that might be your basis for your judgment whether you can successfully learn the knowledge and skills. Normally, class, for example, in the math subject, so common for in Filipinos, no, majority actually, no, many Filipinos have this experience of not learning mathematical problems, so they have this judgment already that they cannot learn the new mathematical concept. So that's self-efficacy. Next is a person's self-efficacy can be increased using several methods. The first one is the verbal persuasion, means offering words of encouragement to convince others that they can learn. Another one is logical verification. It involves perceiving a relationship between a new task and a task already mastered. That is logical verification. If you already know how to do a task, okay, then you could already relate that with the task that you have already mastered. Next is modeling. It involves having employees who have already mastered the learning outcomes, um, demonstrate them for trainees, and as a result, employees are likely to be motivated by the confidence and success of their successful peers. So kung meron kang imamodel doon na magde-demonstrate at nagawa naman niya na maayos, then that could likely, no, increase the self-efficacy. And of course, we have the past accomplishment, which is refers to allowing employees to build a history of successful accomplishments. So this is the process of social learning theory. So first is we have the attention, which is it includes the model stimuli, the trainee, and the characteristic. Then it will lead to retention, which has something to do with the coding, organization, and rehearsal. Then of course, after that, we will have the motor reproduction, which is the physical capability, accuracy, and feedback. And of course, we have the motivational processes, which has something to do with reinforcement. So, yun nga, no? Yung social learning theory is, kunyari, nakuha na nga yung attention mo, tapos yun, may nakita kang model, sino ba yung tuturuan natin, at ano ba yung mga characteristic ng mga trainee natin. So, ito yung parang nagiging malaking factor dun sa next process, dun sa next phase, which is the retention, o yung paano mo natatandaan at namamaster yung skills, no? Coding has something to do with knowledge, no? How you code the knowledge, how you apply it, no? How you organize it, and how you rehearse it to practice, 'di ba? Tapos yun, na-improve na yung physical capability mo, accuracy, and feedback. Kunyari, sa paggamit ng POS machine or point of sale, in my personal experience, it's really hard at first. But once you get used to it, no, you rehearse it, you keep on doing it, then you mastered it. So that's basically, uh, the experience that I had. So the next one is the goal theories. So goal setting assumes that behavior results from a person's conscious goals and intentions. So goals influence a person's behavior by directing energy and attention, sustaining effort over time, and motivating the person to develop strategies for goal enjoyment. So an example of goal setting theory um, is yung parang nangyari dun sa pizza deliveries, no? That majority of the pizza deliverers, no, or delivery riders rather, aged 18 24, um, who are compensated based on the number of pizza they can deliver. So dito, no, this create a situation which the drivers, no, are rewarded for fast but unsafe practices, no, like not wearing helmet, no, and failing to use signals. So, ayun, no, kumbaga, dapat is, kung gagawa tayo ng program, yes, kailangan is, ano pa rin, ma-consider pa rin natin yung safety ng mga employees, even though they want to have quota, to achieve sales quota due to compensation, but they have to be reminded that safety rather should be the priority. Goal orientation refers to the goals held by a trainee in a learning situation. Goal orientation can include a learning orientation or a performance orientation. So, a learning orientation relates to trying to increase the ability of competence in a task, while the performance orientation refers to learners who focus on task performance and how they compare to others. So, yun yung difference ng dalawa, no? Learning orientation, paano ba natin mas pagagalingin, no, yung ating sarili para dun sa isang task, pero performance orientation, nakafocus siya, no, dun sa task performance at paano natin ikukumpara yung ating performance sa iba. Next is expectancy theory. So, when you say the word expectancy theory, it suggests that a person behavior is based on three factors, which is expectancy, instrumentality, and valence. So, beliefs about the link between trying to perform a behavior and actually performing well are called the expectancies. Kung iniisip mo na kaya mo, tapos yun nga, nagawa mo siya, that is expectancies. Expectancy is similar to self-efficacy. In expectancy theory, a belief that performing a given behavior, like attending a training program, is associated with a particular outcome, which is being able to better perform your job, which is called instrumentality. Okay? So, valence is the value that a person places on an outcome. For example, how important it is to perform better on the job. So this is the model of the expectancy wherein, as you can see, no, effort is equals to performance, while in the instrumentality, performance is equals to outcome, while the variance is the value of the outcome, which is equals to effort. Now we will proceed with the adult learning theory. Okay? So some educational psychologists, no, recognizing the limitation of formal education theories developed by andragogy, the theory of adult learning. So according to Malcolm Knowles, is most frequently associated with adult learning theory. Knowles' model is based on several assumptions. One, adults have the need to know why they are learning something. Two, adults have a need to be self-directed or to have own decision and own way of organizing of work. Three, adults bring more work-related experiences into the learning situation. Four, adults enter into a learning experience with a problem-centered approach to learning. So that is some of the several assumptions of adult learning, that it is problem-centered. So they try to focus on different cases related to problems, and they try to, to bring it out in the training program so that they could learn how to solve it. Five, adults are motivated to learn by both extrinsic and intrinsic motivators. So when we say the word extrinsic, this could be sa rewards, the recognition, while intrinsic is something, no, that are not this is non-monetary. This is uh, internal. Next is the information processing theory. So here, besides emphasizing the internal processes needed to capture, store, retrieve, and respond to messages, the information processing model highlights how external events influence learning. So these events include changes in the intensity or frequency of the stimulus that affect the attention. So yung intensity or frequency uh, of the stimulus is, is something to do with how we retain information. Informing the learner of the objectives to establish an expectation. So you have to ensure that objectives are established so that expectations are being discerned or disseminated to learners. Three is enhancing perceptual features of material stimulus, drawing attention of the learner to certain features. So here, we are trying to uh, enhance whatever materials that we have so that it could draw the attention of learners, and once we draw the attention, it may lead to better retention. Four is verbal instructions, pictures, diagrams, and maps. This is suggesting ways to code the training content so that it can be stored in memory. So there are many learners or employees or people, once they see or saw the pictures, diagrams, or maps, or they heard the verbal instructions, then that will lead to better retention. 5 is meaningful learning context. It includes examples and problems, creating cues that facilitate coding. So once you create examples and problems, then nagkakaroon tayo ng cue dun sa mga learners or employees that will help them to code the content of our training. And of course, we have demonstration or verbal instruction, which is helping to organize the learner's response as facilitating the selection of the correct response. So this is an example of a model of information processing. So we have the stimulus or message, and also the environment and the feedback and reinforcement, wherein we have the receptors like the eyes, ears, noise, and skin, and we have the sensory register. Then after that, of course, it will lead to short-term or even long-term memory. And what will be the response once you know you it was retained in your memory, and what will be the effect of that, okay, to the environment and feedback and reinforcement. So that's all, class, and thank you so much for watching.